Welcome to Champagne Problems Podcast. I am your host, Robbie Shaw. Join us as we explore mental and emotional well-being, physical optimization, and the journey to discovering your highest self. Champagne Problems is brought to you in proud partnership with Bond Buzz, the alcohol-free social spirit. Bond Buzz is an award-winning alcohol-free functional beverage company creating adult drinks that are health-forward, all-natural, and uncompromising. They're on a mission to create a future where feeling good and getting buzzed exist in absolute harmony and not at the expense of your health. Their bold concoctions offer focus and energy while calming the nervous system for a night on the town or a productive afternoon. Bond Buzz uses only natural ingredients and a hyperfunctional blend of nootropics, adaptogens, and functional mushrooms to amplify the sensory experience. If you're looking for a drink to help you cool off after work or a drink to stimulate your mind and body without the harmful, icky hangovers, drink Bond Buzz for good days only. BJ Barham, welcome to Champagne Problems.
It's good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I'll give a shout out to Greg Lowenhagen, a mutual buddy of ours.
Heck yeah.
Do you know him very well, or y'all cross paths?
Before each of us found recovery, we knew each other from the bar scene.
Oh, interesting.
Very, very well.
Oh, very cool.
We had the same kind of haunts. So,
yeah, I got you.
But Greg's a really great guy. Always been super kind to me, super kind to the band. So when you reached out and added his name, it automatically gives it a level of, okay, these guys are on the level.
That's cool, man. Well, he'll appreciate that for sure. Greg and I played basketball at Carolina together.
Heck yeah.
And then that's where I met him, freshman year at Carolina, and we've been,
I think I met him playing basketball here in like a kind of a pickup league here in Raleigh. So,
yeah. He's a beast on the court.
He's great. He was fun.
Awesome. All right, so let's dive in. So I like to start my conversations with some rapid-fire questions just to kind of get the brain flowing a little bit.
Let's do it.
And this is always an interesting question, but it'll be more interesting for you because you're in the music industry. But what was your first live music concert and where?
My first live music concert that I went to without my approval was probably some Christian concert when I was in church. And in like the sixth grade, like Jars of Clay or Stephen Curtis Chapman or something. But the first concert I went to and I paid money to go see, I went with a friend. I was in the seventh grade. I went to see Jimmy Buffett at the Greensboro Coliseum. That was my random first.
Those are fun.
A friend was like, "You want to come with me and my parents?" I was like, "Of course I do." So I bought me a ticket with my own money and I went and tailgated for the first time. It was a fun experience.
Those concerts are fun, especially when you drink.
Yeah. It was seventh grade. Me didn't get to find out about that too much,
right.
But started going back to those shows when I was in high school, and it was a much different story.
Lured you in a little bit.
For sure.
All right, here's a weird question. What's your favorite smell?
Favorite smell? Honeysuckle. It reminds me of summer. It immediately takes me back. I'm a big sense memory guy, so
yeah.
I'm a big fan of that time of year where it starts growing and the wind picks it up, and when it hits you, it immediately takes me back to my grandma's house.
Love it. Least favorite smell?
Least favorite smell. I've got a lot of that. I've spent the last 20 years in a van with a bunch of dudes.
All right, I can name three already.
There's a lot of smells that I do not like. Vomit. Vomit's one of those smells that immediately, and believe it or not, it's gotten better when I became a dad.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing what happens because it used to be if I smelled any kind of vomit, I was about to vomit.
Yeah.
But the minute my kid vomited, it was like my first instinct was I got to clean it up. I got to clean her up.
Yeah.
And I lost the. I still hate the smell, but I can.
You can get in it
when it's my own DNA. I can help her out.
That is like advice that I give to new or upcoming new parents all the time. Not so much about vomit, but more about shit.
Yeah,
and you just get very used to it.
You get very used to, like, if you had any apprehension before, it completely goes out the window the minute it's your child.
It's everywhere. Hilarious. Do you read much?
I do read.
What would be the book that you're reading right now?
Right now I'm reading Stephen Hyden's Springsteen bio. He wrote like a new thing for Springsteen that came out last month. I'm reading that. The last thing I finished was the Lucinda Williams bio.
So mostly nonfiction?
No, I'm a big fan of like S.A. Cosby, David Joy. Those are some writers that have really resonated with me the last couple years. Just Southern Gothic type stuff.
Cool.
Fiction, but
Cool.
based in a very real place for me.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. All right, here's a cerebral one. If you could know the answer to any question, what would you ask?
Oh man, that's way out there. Yeah,
I've had somebody say, "Well, I'd like to know the directions to the closest Pizza Hut."
yeah, man. It's one of those things. I think we're constantly searching for answers to a lot of these like big questions. And just based off where I'm at now at 40, if you went back and asked 30-year-old me, I'm sure it would have been a much different. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pass on this one. I have zero.
I love it.
I have zero. Like, there's so many questions. Like, I couldn't narrow it down to like if I had to ask one question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm constantly intrigued. I think that's a big thing in life, is to constantly question things. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. So
Yeah. And don't be scared of the answer.
yeah,
Or the lack of.
I think that I'm constantly questioning things. So I don't like, if a question pops up, I don't wait to ask this really big universal question. I try to jump right into it and find the answer myself.
Gotcha. Cool. The other day, somebody or actually it was my wife, and she was telling me about one of her partners traveling to somewhere in Germany. We're going overseas this summer, and she was telling this story, relaying the story that he told about this experience of seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
I mean, it just. I don't know. We can get totally sidetracked here, but I think you're the type of person that would enjoy this kind of sidetrack. But like, when you hear stories about ghosts, that alone, if it's true, answers a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the whole what happens when you die, the afterlife, all those things. It's like, well, if you've seen a ghost, then now there's an answer.
If you have proof of paranormal activity, then you've answered a lot more questions than a lot of us have.
Exactly. I
would have more questions. If I saw a ghost, I would have more. Nothing would be answered for me if I saw a ghost. I would just have more questions. Like, how did you get here? Like,
sure.
How are you still in ghost form?
Well, exactly. But the fact that there is something that is not tangible is an answer in itself.
Yeah, 100%.
That's true. All right, we'll move on from that one. So we'll go deep there. Where were you born?
I was born in Reidsville, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
I guess technically I was born in Greensboro, North Carolina, at Wesley Long Hospital. But I lived in Reidsville the first 18 years of my life. It's where 7 generations of my family we got here off the boat and stayed here in Reidsville. And
interesting.
So I got the bright idea to go to college and get out of town. I was the first kid in my family to leave Reidsville and move to the biggest city I could throw a rock at. So that was Raleigh. I joke with people. I'm such a traveler. I've been 19 countries, everywhere in America, and I've never lived more than an hour and a half from where I was born.
Yeah.
I always lived very central North Carolina.
That's cool, man. Reidsville, I went to school with a gal from Reidsville, and of course I can't remember her name or I'd throw it at you. When did you start music?
College.
Yeah?
College. I've always been a singer. I grew up in the church. My dad was a deacon in the Southern Baptist Church. So I grew up singing. I grew up singing in front of people. And that was the big thing, is learning how to get in front of. There's nobody more judgmental than a bunch of Southern Baptists. So if you can stand up in front of them and sing, it will.
You got thick skin.
You got thick skin. If I have to hear one more parent tell me that I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, that would throw most kids off of the path. But I sang all through high school. I was in the choir. I did a lot of musical theater. Always enjoyed being in front of people. Always enjoyed singing and just art, expressing myself.
Interesting.
But I never played an instrument.
Okay, so that was college. So music your whole life.
Yeah,
but instruments college.
I've been singing along to the radio since I can remember. But it wasn't until freshman year at college, picked up a guitar and started teaching myself how to play the guitar. And once that happened, the shitty poetry I'd been writing my entire life started turning into shitty songs.
Uh-huh.
And then that started the evolution of just trying to become, like, the craft of songwriting took over, and it became something I became very passionate about. I was going to school for political science and history at North Carolina State University, and very quickly all of my attention turned from academics to songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to see 6 or 7 shows a week. I was driving to Chapel Hill, Cat's Cradle.
Yeah.
Anything that came through Raleigh, I just wanted to see live music. And once I got bit by that bug, once I came to the realization, because I grew up in Reedsville, we didn't have music venues. We didn't have, the nearest thing we had was the Greensboro Coliseum. I did not know, I thought there was 2 kinds of musicians. I thought there was like Tim McGraw, like the biggest of the big, and then there was like your drunk uncle that played like guitar at a bonfire, like at the family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had zero idea there was this middle ground, this independent music scene where you could travel around the country and play music in front of a couple hundred people a night and make a living
do well,
doing it.
Yeah.
So once I moved to Raleigh and I found that existed, that you didn't have to be CMT, Billboard Top 40 to be successful in the music business, that's when I started, because I was going to see a bunch of indie rock bands and they were just like shitty musicians and shitty singers. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I could at least do that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I got that in the bag.
Right.
And so I started a band, and we were bad at first, but then a year later we were a little better, and then 2 years later we were a little better. And then once we started touring and playing 250, 300 shows a year, we started getting pretty good pretty quick.
Wow.
And fast forward 18 years since our first record came out, here I am. Just sticking with it and being too stubborn to walk away from it.
Well, why would you, man? You're getting bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine you're the biggest you've ever been right in this moment.
Yeah, that's we always there's a joke on the bus that's just, as long as this year's better than last year and next year's better than this year, we're trending
You're absolutely
in the right direction.
That's cool, man. Golly. So, I grew up playing drums, and music has always been a part of my life, but I never had the nuts to just go full in.
It's a big disconnect. It's taking off the parachute. It's jumping off the edge of the cliff, knowing that there's not just a very good chance, like a very high probability that you're going to crash.
Yeah.
And not make it.
Right.
Less than 2% of people that ever pick up a guitar ever end up doing it their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the fail rate is extremely high. Like
Right.
anything else you're trying to do, like when they tell you that like 98% of the people that ever try to do this are going to fail at it.
Yeah.
Like it takes a certain kind of person to be like, oh no, I'm going to be in that, I'm going to be in that 2%. That's
Right.
easy.
That's right.
But yeah, it took a lot of, you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself, and you have to believe in the product that you're making. But the first time I remember it was at the brewery on Hillsborough Street, RIP. It's now a CVS, for Christ's sake. It used to be like the proving ground for musicians. It was the place that would book you on a Tuesday night at a $5 cover. Let's see if you can pull anybody. Let's see if you can get 100 kids in here. And so the first time I stood on stage and played songs and heard the applause from people that weren't my friends and family, like strangers who were like, oh, that's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
That's when the bug bit. And I was like, maybe I can be part of that 2%. Maybe I can't. Maybe if they like that one, maybe this week I can go write another song that they like that much. And so it just became this like always trying to outdo what I'd already done. And it's still to this day, how do I put out a record more successful than the last record?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of competitive nature. I grew up. I was an athlete growing up, so always been hyper competitive. And I just found a lane to be very competitive in. And instead of trying to sing and be in theater and play football, soccer, baseball, basketball, I'm just focusing on one thing. And I found out that once I focused on one thing and threw everything I had at it, that the only person stopping it's me. Mm-hmm. So that's a good realization to come to when you're a kid.
Golly, I love it, man. That's inspiring. So inspiring. And I even had a question here about what it takes, honestly. And I love that you brought up the very, very, very low success rate. And obviously you've got to define success. Making it big is one thing, but also sustaining or just getting some good feedback is some people's definition of success. But like, how do you? I mean, I guess the passion obviously has to be there. The ability to push through, knowing that you're not that good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I equate this to. I mean, you can equate it to not anything, but a lot of things where people try and you have to work hard to be good at it.
So it's a craft. Everything's a craft. Anybody that's good at something didn't just start being good at it. LeBron James didn't just pick up a basketball and be like, I'm LeBron James. there was a lot of like behind the scenes work when nobody's watching, dribbling the basketball to school. Every time you're getting home, putting up 100 shots, putting up 200 shots, 300 shots, 400 shots, getting in the gym before anybody else and being the last one out of the gym. That's the kind of stuff nobody sees. All they see is, oh, there's a high school kid on ESPN right now. He's going to be pretty good.
He's good.
Like, they don't see the work since he's been 6 that went into that. And it's every craft.
Yeah.
You have to put the work in. Like, occasionally you find somebody that has the God-given talent.
Yeah.
But
they still have to work.
But they still have to work if they want to be any good at it. And my dad used to always tell me that that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that has stuck with me so hard. It's like, just because there's somebody out there more talented than you, you can outwork them and be better than them because they're going to rest on that talent.
Yeah.
They're going to fall back and say, oh, I'm just naturally good at this. But if you're willing to put in the work, you don't have to be as naturally as good to be better than them. You just got to be able to work for it. And once I found out that the music business, especially the independent music business, was all about what you put into it, hold on. Like, because I've always said I've never had the jawline for country music. I don't have the best voice. I'm not the best songwriter. I'm not the best guitar player. But the one thing that I can wake up every single morning and control is how much more I'm willing to work than the guy to the left and the guy to the right to me. And I will outwork any motherfucker in the room. And that's why 18 years in, I'm successful in the music business. It's not because I'm the most talented guy. It's not because I started off on a hot streak with like the best songs. No, it's like I wrote shitty songs until I wrote okay songs. And then I wrote okay songs until I wrote good songs. And then I wrote good songs until I'm trying to write great songs. And it took 20 fucking years. When kids ask me like, what advice do you give me? And I'm like, if you're not
motherfucker.
It's like, put in the work. Because now we see this whole generation of TikTok kids who want to get famous, and it's viral. It's not about substance. It's about how quick can I get to the top. And they don't want to put the work in. They don't want to tour. And that's a problem, because those are the kids that are going to be making me coffee in 5 years. You know, those are the kids that are going to have a really great story about 2 or 3 years of their life where they got to tour and then they crashed, because there's no sustainability if you don't build that foundation. I don't care how pretty a house is. If that foundation is not strong, the first glimpse of a storm is tearing that motherfucker down. But if you have a foundational strength, if you have literally taken every rung of the ladder from the very bottom and you know exactly what it takes to take that next step up, nobody can take what you've already stepped up away from you. And so I'm proud to be from that weird generation of musicians. Like, when I first started, the digital age had already started. Record labels were crumbling.
Yeah.
Napster existed. Apple Music or iTunes existed when I first started. So when I first started playing music, Pandora's box was already open. Music was free now.
Yeah.
People, and you weren't putting that back in. There's still people who you can't talk into paying for music.
Yeah.
They might pay the $12 a month Spotify or Tidal or Amazon, but they're not going to pay you the $30 for the actual piece of art that you made every single time you put it out.
Yep.
So it was about learning how to navigate that industry and not getting broken by it, and then building something foundational and grassroots. And then after 20 years of really just going into work every day and putting your head down and keeping your feet moving, you look up and you're like, you know, like 2 weeks ago I played Red Rocks. Like, all of a sudden you look up and you're like, holy shit, like there's 10,000 people here. Like, that's cool. And that's something, flash back into time, go into my freshman dorm, tell that kid, like, one day you're going to play these incredible venues across the country. Like, it's hard to believe, but it didn't happen overnight. It was 20 years of hard work that went from the 100 cap room in Raleigh to the 200 cap room to the 300 cap room to the 500 cap room to the 1,000 cap room. And then in a couple months, we're doing the Museum of Art Amphitheater, which is 2,800 people. And it took 20 years to make that jump.
Yeah.
From 100 people at the brewery on a Tuesday night to an amphitheater in Raleigh. Like, that stuff doesn't happen overnight, and so many people want it to happen overnight. And it's just, if you want to be able to sustain it, you don't want the overnight success.
Right.
The sooner you get to the top, there's only one way down. I would much rather my trajectory be inching toward the top every year, because the minute you peak, you're on the downhill.
Yeah.
You know, the minute you hit the top of your career, you're only a few years away from headlining like the Tuscaloosa Crawfish Jam or whatever local thing gets played.
Where's that hard work come from?
My dad. my
Yeah.
dad and my mom, my whole family. Like I was lower middle class growing up. Both my parents worked really hard jobs. I grew up. My whole dad's side of the family were farmers, tobacco farmers. So I would have been a seventh generation if I'd have stuck around Reedsville. But I got the bright idea to go to college and and do some book learning. But it comes from my dad, who woke up every morning at 5 o'clock and went into a job that he hated because he had something bigger to take care of. He had a family. He had my dad went into work every day. I know my dad did not want to go into work and sell auto parts every day. That was not what he thought his calling in this life was supposed to be. But it was a way for him to put a roof over his family's head and put food in their bellies every single night. And my mom was the same way. My mom worked 2 jobs her entire life, my entire life, and never missed anything. I never missed out on amazing parents that bent over backwards. Like as a parent now, I do not know how they did what they did with what they had. I have zero idea how they made it work. On paper, it does not work.
Wow.
But growing up, it was just this, and it was about sacrifice. You get to a certain age where you learn, like, holy shit, like the reason we have what we have is because my parents just didn't take anything. They gave it all to us. They made sure that we never missed a trip. We never missed a seminar, a leadership camp, anything growing up. And it was all because my parents were like, okay, we're just going to have to, we're not going to be able to go out and eat for an anniversary this year. We're not going to be able to go on a trip this year together. It's for the kids. And, my dad always says, me and my brother both miraculously, the heathens that he raised grew up to be 2 functioning members of society. He was like, it was all worth it. He was like, watching you guys completely excel at what you chose to do. That's all a parent wants. That's all a parent wants, is to have a better life than you had. Give your kids a better life than you had and watch them absolutely thrive.
Yeah.
And I think at first my dad didn't get what I do. My dad's one of those big corn-fed motherfuckers that like doesn't feel feelings and doesn't like talking about feelings.
Yep.
So the fact that his son is making a living talking about like his most inner personal fears and dialogue, he didn't get it for a long time. He didn't understand why I was giving up a sure bet, because I was going to school for political science and history, and I was going to law school. That was what I wanted to do since I was like 7 years old. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer. Every summer I spent at Duke at the TIP program, the Talent Identification Program, doing mock trials with like lawsuits.
Crazy.
Like it was all I wanted to do.
What the hell did you want to do that for?
I don't know. I loved it. I truly loved it.
That's it.
I love the oratory skills that it took to get up in front of people and to argue and make a point and pick a side. That was the fun thing about those mock trials, is they give you which side you have to argue. So it could be something that I'm fundamentally against, and then I had to stand up in front of people and argue against it. I had to find ways to prove that I was right, even though I didn't even believe what I was arguing.
That's like performance.
It's 100% performance.
It makes sense.
And it's why, one of the things our band gets a lot of credit for is like we put on a really great show. There's a lot of stage banter. There's a lot of back and forth between the crowd. Like anytime anybody tries to heckle or anything, I'm very quick on my feet. I'm very witty. And so that comes from, that's all I wanted to do. And so my dad was like, why are you giving up this really, in his eyes, like a great job, a great future, to go take a chance on something that is 100% uncertain? At any point in time, it can be snatched from you. One bad record, it's gone. Nobody wants to hear you anymore. Yeah. But now he gets it. Now he comes, like my dad flew out he watched us make our Grand Ole Opry debut. He came and saw me play the Ryman the first time I played at the Ryman.
Proud.
Him standing in the crowd and watching thousands of kids sing along to something you made up on your living room couch. He gets it. Yeah. He understands, like, oh, wow, like you went out and you took. So he finds a piece of himself in that. Yeah. Because he's like, I taught him never to let anyone else tell him no. Never to let anybody else outwork him. He sees pieces of, like, and he hears interviews. Like, he listens to all this stuff. Yeah. Anything I post, he listens to it. And it's fun because while I didn't go into the auto parts business, he still finds a piece of himself in the kid that's standing up in front of 2,000 kids singing every night, because he knew how much work I had to put in, how many no's I got told to my face, knowing there was a yes that had to come. And that was him. That was 100% him. God. And so that's a fun thing.
That's good stuff, man. Wow, very good stuff. God, and that's going to translate over to your parenting, and it's
it already has. It's don't get me wrong, my parents weren't perfect in the upbringing of a child, but nobody
no
is.
Such thing.
There's no amount of books you read that prepare you for how difficult of a task it is raising another human being.
Well, you got your own life to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. And so I'm lucky because this job has afforded me a lot of time. I get to pick my schedule now. And so I get to be home for all the big stuff. I get to make sure I'm there for all the big moments. Now that my daughter's in school, we take summers off. I don't play shows in the summertime. Like she gets out of school next week and we just start traveling. We go to Chicago for a week, St. Thomas for a week. We're doing like a 16-day road trip to the Southwest. Like that's not anything I had growing up. Me growing up, once a summer we went to Myrtle Beach and played some putt-putt, ate some calabash shrimp.
That's right.
You know, maybe get some taffy on the way home, and that was vacation.
Sneak into Can-Am.
Yeah.
You remember that shop?
100%. And it's, you know, but now it's, you know, my kid's a Delta Platinum medallion flyer. Like it's, I want to show her the world. I want her to show her what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
Because
my dad
did his best to show me what the possibilities were for me. And I want my kid to see that same, but on a much grander scale. I want her to know that nothing can stand in her way. Like we're equipping her with the tools to take on whatever she decides to do. And again, that's all from the previous generation. You learn from them what worked. Let's take that. What didn't work, let's not
leave
do that.
Yeah. The building block.
Yeah. So it's everybody's just trying to be the best parent they can with the tools that they're given.
Yeah.
And some of us are given better tool sets.
Yeah.
And my parents set me up while they didn't financially set me up with some tools that other people might have. They set me up with the fundamental building blocks on the inside.
Yeah.
They taught me how to be a good person, how to work hard, how to respect people, how to be kind to people. And that all translates into what I do now. Mm-hmm. Empathy is something that they taught me.
Yeah.
From an early age.
Yeah.
It's and that's the biggest takeaway. Hard work and empathy.
Yeah.
Like and if I do my job as a parent, my kid will have that in spades.
Yeah. Beautiful. So let's transition over to your new album. July 26th.
Yep.
That's the release.
The Fear of Standing Still.
Fear of Standing Still. I did, I had to do a little research and looked into, some of the song titles and some of what's been written about what the songs are about.
Yeah.
And I might go through a couple different songs because it seems like we could talk about different topics within each song.
For sure.
But before I do that, I do want to talk a little bit about the fact that you play, genres are all blended now, but essentially country, right? What would you call it?
Some bastardization of country music.
Right, got it.
I think we call it the all-encompassing umbrella of Americana is what we would fall
under.
Yeah,
it sounds like Americana to me.
It's a bunch of punk rock kids who are raised on who play country music now.
Got it.
So it's high energy, it's upbeat, but at the root of it, I'm a folk singer. Mm-hmm. I write songs.
Yeah,
I tell stories. But I have a rock and roll band, but we also have a pedal steel guitar. So we don't know what we are. Nobody in our band knows what genre of music we play. We just know that we play the music that we like and we play the songs that we like. And that's the fun part about our crowd, because you'll look out in the crowd and you'll see a bunch of tattooed up punk rock kids and a bunch of frat boys and a bunch of 70-year-old men with their 30-year-old sons hanging out, both loving the songs. Like our crowd is such a mixed bag, and I think that's because we're the island of misfit toys. Like we don't know what we are, and that way anybody can find a little piece of themselves in our music.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, and where I was going with that was the kind of stereotype of, certain genres that fall kind of, call it Southern, call it kind of backwoods, maybe even good old boy. The lyrics, they're not always super vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. Traditionally, at least.
Well, so let's just call it what it is. Top 40 country music is trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator. They want as many people to pack out the local Enormo shed every summer when they come through town. They need 15,000 people. So they're not trying to write anything that makes you feel feelings.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe they'll hint at nostalgia. That's the one thing that I found that Top 40 Country does a really good job at, of really kind of trying to tap into nostalgia. But at the end of the day, they're trying to stay right down the middle. They don't want to take a stand on anything.
Yeah, they might turn
because if they take a stand on anything,
away.
And that fraction might be 5,000 tickets.
Right.
And you need 5,000 tickets to sell out the 40,000 person room. So a lot of that stuff's just cold beer, pretty girl, pickup truck, dirt road, and
flip
you can only hear so many of those songs every hour on the hour for a couple years before you're like, this is just vapid. Like this is not anything. There's no substance here.
Right.
There's like, and then you look at the credits and you realize that insert whatever big country artist, like he didn't even write the song.
Right.
He paid 6 guys to write a song about how much he loves his wife. Like, get out of here. Like, that's not that's not authentic to me. I love picking up a record, looking on the back, and it says, this record was written by this guy.
Yeah.
And that's what country music used to be.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be a lot of guys who
Hank.
Yeah, they would write their own songs, or at least be in the room when they were written and co-write some of these songs. Some of these dudes, you'll listen to like whatever the number one hit is in the country, I'm sure right now, has like 6 songwriters.
Sure, and it's just an equation.
Yeah.
It's a beginning, middle, and end, and it's what works.
100%. It's redneck Mad Lib,
Right.
is what it is. It's like, here's the format, here's what's worked for the last 10 years, let's just put some
Fill
new
in the
words in it.
blanks. Yeah.
But
Redneck
I've
Mad
learned
Lib.
not to make up fun of it too much, because there are so many people that find comfort in that.
Sure.
Like, it wouldn't sell out the Enormo Dome every summer if it wasn't relatable. But it all depends on what you need out of your music.
Mm-hmm.
Country music today is popular for the same reason the Fast and the Furious franchise is popular. Some people like to walk into a room for 2 hours and cut their brain
Mindless.
off and forget about the doldrums of their fucking life.
Yeah.
Some people are like, man, for an hour and a half, I just want to go to a field, sit there with my friends,
Drink
cold
11 beers.
drink cold beer, and listen to the song that I've heard on my ride to work every day this year.
That's right.
And they find comfort in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
No judgment.
And I'll never be the guy that I'm like, man, like, they find in that music the same thing I find in music.
Mm-hmm.
But I might go see a person in front of 50 people pouring their heart out at the tiny songwriter room.
Mm-hmm.
I find the same amount of joy and escapism in that as they find,
Yeah.
going to the Toyota shed, or whatever the amphitheaters are called, and drinking a $14 beer, and paying $30 for parking, and singing the same song about a dirt road that you've sang the last 5 summers. Like, they find joy in that, and like, good for them. Like, but I think we're starting to see in our kind of music, they're starting to find the adjacent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas if you like top 40 country, you might find Jason Isbell or Tyler Childers or Sturgill Simpson or Zach Bryan.
Yeah.
You might find these adjacent, which on the cover, like, oh, that's a dude with a guitar singing about his feelings. I might like that. But it's way deeper than just skin level.
Yeah.
Top 40 is just, there's no depth to it.
Yeah.
So the fun part is you're watching people who love top 40 country find that kind of country adjacent stuff, and that's kind of where we live.
Yeah.
And so you'll have the same people that might have went to, a Luke Bryan show 5 years ago. They had kids, they got into their feelings a little bit more, and then they, through Spotify algorithm, they found a song of ours that like made them feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come to the show, and then now they're into this like weird independent country music.
Yeah.
And it's having a moment now. Like, we're seeing it. Like, a lot of, people like Tyler and Jason and Turnpike Troubadours and Zach are selling out football stadiums.
Yeah.
And they're not being played on the radio.
Right.
They don't have any songs on the radio, yet they're selling 20,000 tickets every night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing for guys like me who play in that lane, is because those are our friends, and those are our friends that take us on the road and let us open those shows.
Yeah.
And it's a really neat thing to watch this kind of country music having a moment right now.
Wow. All right. Well, so the only song I'm able to hear is Crier. So let's start there.
Crier is a song about mental health. Crier is a song about breaking down the stereotype that men can't feel feelings, that men can't cry, that men aren't supposed to cry, that it's a sign of, because I was brought up that generation.
Oh, yeah.
And the boomers were all that way. The boomers were all, if a man cries, it's a sign of weakness, and somebody will exploit that weakness. So you can't ever cry in front of people, because then they'll know they can get you on something. I think our generation has normalized it to a probably the most historic level it's ever been. But there's still that generation of parents that still taught their kids that, and their kids are going to teach their kids that. Mm-hmm. And I'm just trying to break down that norm that it's okay to feel feelings.
Right.
Like, it's totally normal that if something traumatizes you, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel it. You don't have to hold it up. You don't have to carry that emotional burden by yourself. So we put it in a song.
Yeah.
We just wrote a song about how in every aspect of your life, when something bad happens, you cry. Like when you're born, that's how they prove that you're alive, is to make you cry.
Right.
Like that's how you can prove that you are a human being, is by crying. And then the first time you hurt yourself as a kid, nobody makes fun of you for crying. Like when you fall off your bike and you skin your knee up, like that's okay. And then your first heartbreak, that's what the third verse is about, is the first time somebody loves you and then doesn't love you. And then cry.
That one
and
hurts.
And and it goes back to, we even the bridge throws it back to dealing with your feelings is essential to survival. Hell, it's right there in the it's right there in the shortest verse in the Bible. And it's talking about how like all these super macho guys, like their role model is like this religious figure, and it's like even that dude cried.
Right.
Even that dude just like sat down and just wept.
Let it out. Yeah.
So it's about kind of normalizing that and trying. And it's funny because we disguised it in like the most rock and roll song on the record. It's a big,
it's a phenomenal song,
rock and roll
way.
song. So it's got all this machismo, but then it's talking about like how it's okay to just cry.
On your boy's shoulder.
Yeah, it's a Trojan horse for some folks. It's, oh my God, I like this song. Like it's really upbeat and driving, and then
what's it about?
Fourth or fifth listen at 3 a.m. by yourself, you're like, shit, he's right. It is okay to feel things. And but yeah, that's the first single, is a song called Crier.
I love it, man. And I mean, I've told you, this podcast is ultimately about mental health. So I mean, that alone is, especially as a man, and all the work I've done through recovery and getting in touch with yourself and just growth and becoming a new parent. And I mean, you can't do these things successfully or even well or just healthily if you don't do that. If
100%.
you're not vulnerable, if you're not in touch and feel.
Yeah.
Or else you're just a fucking asshole and you've got all kinds of shit coming out, whether it's anxiety, depression, or just anger.
That's what I've learned is anytime I see somebody showing out like that in public, whether it's the anger or the violence or the overcompensating, I'm just like,
you got some work to do, pal.
I'm like, somebody fucked you up, man.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah,
you're holding on to something, and like I try not to judge those kind of people.
Sure.
Because whether it's
I used to be one.
Whether it's the guy cutting you off in traffic or the guy who's impatient in line at a place where you're trying to figure something out, that guy's dealing with some shit and he doesn't know how to deal with it. So he's projecting it onto you. And like I've learned to be a much calmer human being, being like, man, I don't want to say this to you, but like, you're going through some shit, and I hope you figure out how to get through that shit, man.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a coincidence. Like that single was released on May 1st, which is Mental Health Month.
Yep.
So there wasn't a coincidence that like the
cool.
single that came out in May for the record was a song about mental health.
Wow.
That wasn't accidental.
All right, let's do another song. Southern Roots.
Southern Roots is about the dichotomy of Southern identity. It's about loving something. It's about loving being Southern. I love the food. I love the music. I love the culture. I always argue that there's two things the South do that nobody else can even touch, and that's music and food. But there's also a lot of bad things that happen in the South. A lot of bad things that a lot of people are still running from, still denying, still saying don't exist anymore. And it's a song about loving where you're from, but also questioning where you're from and asking hard questions and growing from it and challenging what a Southern man really is. Because when you think of a Southern man in the 60s, that's a much different thing than I want to be. And so it's a whole song about kind of, realizing that I'm never going to change everybody's mind. There's still going to be that good old boy in Reedsville riding around in his big truck with a Confederate flag on the back of it. Heritage, not hate, man. Heritage, not hate. That's what this is. I'm never going to change that guy's opinion.
Yeah.
But I do have the ability to raise my daughter and teach her how to love the South, but also know that there is a dark, dark shadow that's still laying over the South to this day. We're never going to answer for those sins. And teaching her that it's okay to love being from a place, a region, but also respecting the fact that, like, maybe your great-great-great-grandfather was kind of a shithead.
Yeah.
And that's just what that song's about.
Yeah.
The song is about, it's like, I'm never going to be able to change my Southern accent, but the only thing I can change is what words come out with this Southern accent. So making sure that, like, it's still going to sound like this, still going to sound like a redneck, but I'm making sure I'm saying positive stuff instead of tearing people down.
That was good stuff, man. My mom's side of the family is 7 generations Steel Creek, which is right outside of Charlotte.
Yeah.
Reedsville outside of Greensboro. Same deal. All farmers.
Yeah.
Grew up very similar.
That's most of North Carolina. If it's
right,
if it's not a city you've heard of, it's farmland.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. Well, that's beautiful, man. I love that. The Curse of Growing Old. This one rang true to me. I mean, I am. What are you? How old are you now?
Just turned 40.
Just turned 40. Well, I just turned 47.
Nice.
And 40s is the top of the hill. It's the hump. It's
don't say that, because like I said earlier, once you hit the top of the hill, it's only down. So I like
just a number. It's just
I like
a number.
to think the top is still. That's a mindset.
I got you. But did you ever watch 30 Rock?
I did.
Alec Baldwin, when Liz Lemon turned 40, he said, "Congratulations, Liz, you're halfway to death."
Yeah, it's The Curse of Growing Old is a song about a realization I had. I was at my grandmother's 92nd birthday party, and everybody was celebrating her and congratulating her about, oh my God, you're 92 years old. Like, that's incredible. Like, you must be so incredibly overwhelmed with joy that you made it this long. And my grandmother, who was a true just cynic in every good way, was just like, no. She's like, this sucks. Like, I've watched the love of my life die 15 years ago. I watched every friend I've had growing up die. I watched all of my neighbors die. I've watched some of my immediate family die. The world has started changing around me at a pace that I cannot keep up with it. She's like, there's nothing great about that. She's like, I am very thankful that I have got to know my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids as long as I have. I'm very thankful for that. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I've had to lose so much just to be able to be here at 92. And something could.
What a concept.
And in my head, I was just like, holy shit, that's a song. So I wrote this song called The Curse of Growing Old, which is... the chorus is, the curse of growing old is giving up everything, and the curse of growing old is knowing everything you love and hold will bloom, die, and fade away. And the only thing more terrifying than coming face to face with dying is knowing there's a price you've got to pay for another day, and that price is change. Mm. And the whole chorus, the whole verses are about, watching my father come to the realization that time is finite, and watching her come to that realization when she passed away that she finally got a break from this. It's a song about growing old and not and in true me fashion, making it sad and depressing instead of making it a celebratory thing of oh my God, you're 92, this is great. I'm like, no,
it's
think
miserable.
about how miserable that person is. So yeah, The Curse of Growing Old is just a song about getting old and seeing stuff and having those experiences is great, but you also have to lose a lot. For every year you're on this earth, you have to lose something.
Yeah.
And it could be something small, or it could be the love of your life. It could be one of your kids. It could be
your knee.
Your knee or your hip or your best
right.
friend from high school or your parents. These are the prices we pay to have that experience and to have another year and to have more life. Mm-hmm. And it's just a real look at getting older instead of this Disney version of getting older.
Yeah. That rings really true with me right now. My I've got an 80-year-old mother who just recently had a stent in the hospital, emergency brain surgery, all these things. And we're working with her through post that experience, and she's not the same. You know, she's got some things, some memory and some connection stuff, and she won't accept it. Yeah. And it's very much in line with what you're saying, where she just doesn't want to accept that she is older now.
Yeah,
and
it's a hard thing to accept.
It is, and she won't. And she recognizes that there's things not clicking, and she's forgetting certain things, and she didn't a month ago.
Yeah,
or not to this degree. And so when you kind of let her know about it or help her be aware that this is a concern, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. It's hard. Just will not accept it. And it really relates to just the fact that she is now older.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing to watch your parents get old and make that realization or run from that realization.
It is.
Because Fast forward 20 years and you're there.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's like you just look inward and
you're not far. You're on the same trajectory. Like, you're not getting younger. You're not able to keep up with the kids on the court as much as you used to be able to. You know what I mean? It's like, but I look at those as that's the fun part of life. Is the fun part is for me, it's like, with recovery comes, I got way more active once I got sober. Started running a lot more and started realizing that, like, the more there's things you can do to kind of outrun time. Yeah. There's things you can do to kind of get ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And because, we've all been to the 20-year high school reunion, and you show up and you're feeling pretty fit, and then you see the guy who did not do anything since high school, had a kid at 19, gave up on life at 20. Fast forward 20 years, he's just it's like, oh my God, a lot
closer.
It's like, how the fuck are we the same age? Like that's not real. So you realize there's things you can do to kind of curb time a little bit and try to keep ahead of it and stay young, at least mentally. Yeah. But yeah, it's, I watched my grandmother passed at 93, and I watched my mom pass at 65, and realizing, like, you can control some of it, but some of it you can't control is a hard thing to admit to yourself.
Yeah, there's only fragility for sure.
No matter how many miles I run, eventually the ticker's going to get out.
Or there could be a bus come around the corner.
100%, 100%.
I've got a daughter who's 14, and I think about the period of time when I was her age, or not her age at 14, but when I was the age that I remember my parents being the age that I am now. Yeah. So I can think back to, like, the over the hill party like my parents had.
I just turned 40, so, like, I told my wife, like, I remember going to the Hallmark store and buying all of the over the hill decorations, like the black and silver balloons, and the headstones, and setting them up for my father's 40th birthday. I clearly remember it.
Yeah, I did too.
This would have been 95. So I was 11. Yeah. So I actively remember going to the store with her and buying these, like, kind of gaudy decorations to put up so that when he got home, we got to eat the over-the-hill cake. Yeah,
make fun of him for 40, yeah.
And he seemed like such an ancient dinosaur at that time.
Right.
And I just turned 40, and I'm like, I can't be that.
Exactly.
I'm not that guy.
Exactly.
I'm not him. But it's funny because you realize that you're very quickly on that path. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but here I am, 30 years after that, my dad's party, and then I turned 40. You're like, oh, shit, like, it's not going to slow down anytime soon. Yeah.
Well, shit, I feel like I just turned 40. I'm 7 beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm about to go 50.
I was going to say, you're rapidly approaching 50.
All right, so let's do a quick, and I don't want to, like, do a quick version of kind of your sober journey, but just for the sake of the podcast and a lot of conversations I have on here, I mean, give us a quick kind of lead up and after.
Leading up is easy. I was in a rock and roll band.
Right.
I was in a rock and roll band. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. I loved all three of those things. Mm-hmm. I loved anything you'd put in front of me. I would do it. I love drinking. I love drugs. I love anything that would take me out of the moment. Yeah. Anything that would escapism. I loved anything that made me forget that I was 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years into a musical career that wasn't going as fast as I wanted it to. Slow growth. I had not fully embraced slow growth yet. I wanted to be able to pay my bills. I wanted to be able to pay my band's bills. I wanted to find some kind of stability because here I am turning 25, 27, 30, and I'm watching all of my friends ride that corporate ladder, buy the house, have 2.5 kids, build the white picket fence, get the promotion, buy the beach house. Mm-hmm. And here I am still in a 350 with my van traveling around the country playing Springfield, Missouri on a Tuesday, wondering where the hell my life went.
Right.
So drinking and drugs helped you forget about that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It made you feel a little bit more like the rock and roll star. Then I met my wife, and my wife changed everything. My wife was the first person I met that wasn't afraid to piss me off. She wasn't afraid to look me in the face and say, "You're fucking it up. You're messing up." And I didn't listen for a while. We started dating in 2011. So for 3 years, I just kind of took her warnings that whatever. It's rock and roll, baby. Like, this is what we do.
Yeah, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. But then in 2014, it pretty much came down to either I was going to get help or she couldn't be with me anymore.
Yeah.
She's like, I love you, but I'm not going to start a family with somebody like you. I'm not going to marry somebody like you. Like, that's not going to happen. So August 31st, 2014 was my last drink. I was in Fort Worth, Texas. It's a place called the Magnolia Motor Lounge. I played a spirited show in Fort Worth, and I got off stage, walked to the bar, ordered a triple shot of Jameson, stood up on a bar stool and said, "This is the last drink I'm ever going to have." And I took a shot, and I put the bar, and I walked right away from it.
Yes.
Never looked back. It's not a coincidence that in December of that year I got married. It's not a coincidence that the record the band put out the following year was the best record we did, and then the following record was the better record, and then the better record. Shows got better. Touring got better. I got better. I became a father, which, other than recovery, is the one thing that changed my life the most.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't imagine being a father and drinking or using. I couldn't imagine being someone that went on vacation with my kid, and my first desire was to find where the bar was.
Yeah.
Have a cocktail, have a drink.
While she's wanting to go to the beach.
While she's wanting to go to the beach, or she's wanting to go do this. I'm not knocking parents out there that drink. Like, we do what we do to get by. Life is life, and life is hard. But for me as a parent, my parenting style is immersive. I am a 40-year-old kid. I love video games. I love riding rides. I love doing stupid. I love being in a pool all day, just squirting people in the face with water guns. I love shit like that. So, like, as a dad, that now is, I'm free from any financial strain. So all I have to do is focus on, like, how much fun can I make this kid's life?
God, love it. It's the dream.
You know, it's like I'm able to take 3 months off this summer and just take her. Like, she made the list of where she wanted to go. Like, I want to go to the Caribbean. I want to go see the desert. I want to see what the Pacific Ocean looks like.
You got it.
I want to go back to Chicago. Blah blah blah. And so she made a list, and I went through and just planned the whole trips. And so, like, I get to be 100% in there. Like, what do you want to eat? We can go anywhere. You know, I love chicken tenders. I love hot dogs. I love whatever the fuck you want to eat, I want to eat. Whatever you want to do, I want to do. And it's fun because, like, I couldn't imagine being the dad that I am drinking, yet alone, like, using.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen, like, a dad of the year be like, I do like an eight ball every 3 days, and but I'm still a really great dad.
It's real consistent.
Consistent. But it's one of those things for me. It was just interfering with who I wanted to be. It was interfering with the husband I wanted to be. It was interfering with the dad I wanted to someday become. So I stopped, and I know this is going to come as a surprise. Everything got better.
Oh, God.
Everything got better.
Weird.
What a coincidence.
Weird.
When you stop poisoning yourself on a nightly basis, you start living a little bit more life. I used to always wonder how people got so much shit done, and then I started waking up at 7 a.m. and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "I got an extra like 6 hours of the day." I was sticking with most people, and I was waking up at 1. I was like, "Y'all done fucked up and gave me an extra 6 hours to get shit done." I was like, "This is not fair." And so I watched my work ethic go through the roof. Once I realized that, like, holy shit, I've got double the amount of time in a day to get stuff done, to be an artist, to write, to promote, to be online, it was over. And then I started putting out the best material of my career. And I always tell people, because I talk to a lot of people about sobriety. There's a lot of our fans that are sober or at least started a sober journey because of us. And that's a heavy thing to think about. Like, holy shit, like, my sobriety, somebody else's sobriety is riding on my sobriety. So I talk about it every night at show. It's funny, our band's American Aquarium, so everybody calls our shows an AA meeting. They talk about that it's just feelings. Like, we talk about, every night, we talk about feelings and death and recovery. And there's people that come up to me and they tell me their story every night. They feel vulnerable enough to tell me their story. And there's so many people who are like, I'm 2 weeks sober, I'm 3 weeks sober, I'm a year sober, I'm 5 years sober because of you. And that makes it so much easier, one, to talk about every night, but two, it really is an AA meeting. I get to stand up in front of a room full of thousands of strangers every night and say, my name is BJ Barham, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, but today I didn't use. and I haven't used since August 31st of 14. I got 10 years coming up on August 31st. And every night you get to tell people about your story and what recovery has done for you. And the fun part is my path, much like anybody else that's ever gotten sober, trended upwards. Yeah. Nobody's ever got sober and be like, man, worst decision of my life. I got sober and shit fell apart. My wife left. Kids don't call me anymore, all because I got sober. Yeah. Nobody ever says that. It's always such a positive change. Yeah. It's, oh my God, I feel better. Oh my God, I look better. My relationship with anybody I give a fuck is better. Mm-hmm. Like, who would have thought? Mm-hmm. And so being able to be that person for somebody was amazing. And it holds me accountable, and it lets me know that if I have a drink, not only am I letting myself down, I'm letting somebody else down because I'm proving that it's not possible. Yeah. To the other guy that might only be 2 weeks in thinking it's impossible.
It's not possible, right.
So it's about, obviously, the first thing they tell you in recovery is you can't do it for anybody else. You got to do it for you.
Sure.
You can't do it for a wife. You can't do it for your mom. You can't do it for your friends or your kids. They can be a reason.
They can be a motivator.
You stay. But you have to admit to yourself, I have a problem. I need help, and I'm not going to drink today. Yeah. It doesn't have to be I'm not going to drink for 5 years or 10 years. It's I'm not going to drink today. And if you say it every fucking – and I know it's so cliche and it's so played out and it's one of the mantras that gets thrown around all the time when people talk about sobriety, but the one day at a time thing's so real. It's like because you look up and you've got a month, 6 months, a year, 10 years. And it doesn't feel like that long, but it's because every day it feels like I went a day.
Yeah.
I've been a day without drinking. You know, I didn't drink today. But it's something I never thought I would be known for, and it's become such a crucial part of my identity that, you know, I don't know. Like, I look back and I see videos or I see pictures of me then, mm-hmm. and I'm just like, I don't recognize that guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know who he is. Like, that's not the fully actualized version of myself. Yeah. This is. Like, the guy you see on stage now who is, when you look in my eyes on stage, it's clarity. It's mm-hmm. a guy who's focused. It's a guy who is in the middle of his game, and I'm getting ready to drop 50 on your head. Like, I'm ready. Like, every night, it's laser precision. There's nothing else hindering me from being the best that I can be. And after 18 years, I'm pretty fucking good at what I do. So when I get on stage and I'm that focused, get out of the fucking way. Because it's me and the boys, we're a steam train, and we're coming. And that feels good. Because it used to be we were pretty good. Well, the biggest compliment we got was like, y'all are pretty good for as drunk as y'all were. Right. And I realized, I'm like, what if we were just pretty good? Yeah. Like, what if like we just, so now it's like, and the boys are great. The boys, you know, everybody drinks on our bus. Yeah. But they know, never walk on that stage drunk. Never walk on that stage out of touch. After the show, I don't give a shit what you do. After the show, have fun. Yeah. Enjoy yourself. Rock and roll. But on that stage, it's a job.
We got a job.
We got a job to do. And every night, they crush. And then if they want to go to the bar, they go to the bar. Yeah. And they pay for it the next day.
Yeah. And you can make fun of them.
And I'm up every day at 7 a.m. finding a new restaurant or a new coffee shop or going to see a museum, being a fucking dad.
I love it, man. Thanks for sharing that.
For sure,
That's
man.
big time. All right, so I'm going to read something real quick. All I really want to do is put words to the emotions that most people have a difficult time expressing on their own. No matter what the emotion is, when you put it into a song and then get to those moments when a whole bunch of people are singing that song all together, it makes you see that you're part of something bigger than you ever realized. That's when you can really affect people's lives. And to me, this record is another stepping stone to making that a reality. You're a songwriter, brother.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. Because you have to look yourself in the mirror every day. And if you're being honest with yourself, most people just want to write about the good stuff. They want to write about the good times.
And there's a place for that.
There is a place for that. There's plenty of places for that. But you also have to be able to look in the mirror and see the ugly stuff and not run from it. You have to see the cracks. You have to see the breaks. And you have to be like, okay, that's just as important to write about as writing about all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, songs ain't Instagram. I ain't just posting the good shit. Like, songs are about getting into some of the darker stuff.
Life.
You know, we talk about death. We talk about miscarriage. We talk about recovery. We talk about failure. We talk about losing just about anything you can lose in this lifetime. And it's not because I want to bum people out or make people sad. It's because when you drag that scary thing inside in the corner out of the corner and you put it in the middle of the room in front of everybody and you put a big old spotlight on it, it's not as scary anymore. And when everybody else in that room who has always been scared of that thing in the corner realizes that everybody else was scared of it, you're not alone anymore. So multiply that by 2,000 people in a room. And when you start talking about, like for me, it's like if I play a song about losing my mom, that's a very specific thing in my life that I need to talk about. Shine a light out on those people. Every single one of those people have lost somebody that mattered to them. And they don't hear that song as me singing about my mom. They hear that song about losing their best friend from high school in a drunk driving accident, or losing their grandmother to dementia, or losing somebody. And in that one moment, they're not alone in it. They're not grieving alone. They're grieving with 2,000 other people. They're there for the same fucking reason as them. And it becomes way easier to deal with that stuff. It becomes way easier to be like, okay, I can get through this because I know everybody, not all of us can crumble under this pressure. We're going to all get through this. And so that's the hardest part about being a songwriter, is learning that nothing is off the table. There's some people who write songs that, oh, I'm sharing too much. That looks weak, or that looks so like I have to portray this image for my band, or I can't be that real in a song. And songwriting should be that real. Songwriting, somebody should be able to find a piece of themselves in every single one of those songs. Whether it's a good song, like there's a song on the new record about eating tomato sandwiches at my grandma's house.
Cherokee Purples.
Cherokee Purples. Like find a moment like that, and that's happy. That's joy. Like every single person that hears that song is like, oh my God, give or take a few details, that was my grandma's house, or my mama's house, or my meemaw's house, my nanny's house. Whatever you called her, that was her house in the summertime as a kid. And you realize that your experience wasn't too much different from your neighbor. And at that point in time, it's no male, female. It's no left or right, blue team, red team. We were just a bunch of humans being raised by a bunch of humans that had no idea what they're fucking doing. And you find these common grounds. And that's what I love as a songwriter, is finding those common threads that kind of run through all of us and just yanking at them a little bit.
Yeah.
Pulling at them to remind us that, like,
we're all in this together.
There's only a few things we really disagree about.
Right.
There's only a few things. Other than that, we all kind of have the same experience. We live, we die, we love, we lose. And if you can remind people of that, like, it's the coolest job in the world. Like, I'll never complain about my gig. Like, I get to make people feel feelings every night. I get to remind people that it's okay to be a fucking human being, that you can fail. I failed. I fell flat on my face so many times. But it's all about picking yourself up that one time. You can fall 99 times, but if you pick yourself up that one more time, you overcame it. You overcame that thing that was tripping you up. Like, that's the best feeling, is knowing that people's lives are affected by shit I made up on my couch. Blows my mind.
I love it.
Appreciate you, man.
DJ Barham.
Heck yeah.
American Aquarium. Thank you, brother.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on.